Most people hear Supreme Court ruling on redistricting and immediately think that doesn't affect me. But what if I told you these decisions can affect your community's visibility, leadership influence, funding priorities, and local programs, and long-term opportunities without most people even realizing it? Because redistricting is not only about voting maps. It's about representation, influence, priorities, and power. And when power shifts, resources and opportunities often shift too. So today I'm going to break down what the Supreme Court redistricting decision actually means and why communities are reacting so strongly. I'll also cover how this could affect nonprofits and funding and what organizations should be paying attention to right now. Before we go deeper, let's simplify this. Redistricting is the process of redrawing voting district boundaries. These districts determine who represents communities, who votes together, and how political influence is distributed. Normally, redistricting happens after the census every 10 years. The goal is supposed to be balancing population representation. But the controversy begins when people believe districts are being redrawn in ways that weaken certain communities, reduce voting influence, or shift political power strategically. And this is where words like gerrymandering, fair maps, minority representation start entering the conversation. Now, let me make something very clear. This conversation is bigger than politics because representation influences priorities, investments, attention, and funding conversations. Now let's talk about the Supreme Court side of this. Recent Supreme Court decisions involving redistricting and voting rights have changed how courts evaluate district fairness, minority representation claims, and challenges to district maps. In simple terms, many communities are concerned because these decisions may make it harder to challenge district maps. They believe reduce their influence. And why does that matter? Because if communities feel underrepresented, they often fear reduced visibility, reduced influence, and fewer opportunities to shape priorities. This is why states like Alabama, Louisiana, Tennessee, Georgia have become major focal points in redistricting discussions. People are debating representation, fairness, community voice, and long-term impact. And regardless of political position, one thing is clear: communities are paying attention. So why are people reacting so strongly? Because many communities believe representation affects whose concerns are heard, which issues are prioritized, and where resources flow. For example, if leadership strongly prioritizes housing, education, youth programs, economic development, or violence prevention, then those areas often receive stronger advocacy and investment attention. But when representation changes, communities worry priorities may shift too. And this is where nonprofits, churches, and organizations need to pay attention, because policy conversations often influence funding conversations. That does not mean organizations stop mattering, but it does mean positioning matters more than many people realize. Now let's make this practical. How could Supreme Court redistricting decisions actually affect nonprofits and community organizations? Funding priorities could shift. Different leadership often brings different focus areas and different investments. Community visibility may change. Some communities gain stronger attention, while others may feel overlooked. Visibility often affects partnerships, advocacy, donor attention, and funding opportunities. Grant alignment may evolve. Many grants are tied to community impact and targeted populations. When priorities shift, grant focus may shift too. Community partnerships may change. Organizations connected to local initiatives may experience changes in opportunity and collaboration. And this is why organizations cannot afford to only focus internally anymore. You must understand the environment around your mission. Here's what many organizations fail to realize. You can have a strong mission, passionate leadership, community impact, but still struggle if you ignore policy shifts, leadership changes, funding ecosystems, representation conversations. Because organizations do not operate in isolation, they operate inside systems. And when systems shift, prepared organizations adapt faster. This is why structure matters, visibility matters, relationships matter, strategic positioning matters. And honestly, many organizations are reacting emotionally instead of preparing strategically. So what should nonprofits and businesses do right now? Stay informed. You don't need to become a political analyst, but you do need awareness. Pay attention to local leadership shifts, policy conversations, community priorities, funding discussions. Strengthen your organization. Strong structure creates stability during uncertainty. This includes governance, documentation, financial systems, operational readiness. Build relationships. Community visibility matters. Stay connected to local leaders, collaborative organizations. Position strategically. Communicate clearly who you serve, what impact you create, why your work matters now. Because alignment increases opportunity for your organization to thrive. Let me leave you with this. The Supreme Court redistricting decisions are not just legal headlines. They are conversations about influence, representation, priorities, and opportunity. And whether people realize it or not, those conversations can shape funding, visibility, leadership focus, and community investment. That's why organizations that stay informed and strategically positioned are often better prepared for change. Because your mission deserves more than reaction. It deserves preparation and strategy. If you're serious about building a funding-ready organization, comment "ready" below or click the link to start your readiness assessment. At Bridgebuilders Business Services, we help entrepreneurs and nonprofit founders structure properly and prepare strategically. Because your vision deserves more than passion. It deserves preparation, clarity, and foundation.